what's going on today? I'm sure you're glad to see the
Oh my
community
goodness, I'm so glad. Thank God for the great weather. But this community is a community I started out in when I first became a police officer. So Tammy Rodriguez, one of the organizers, we worked together. Kim Ogg, we worked together at that time. She was in the mayor's anti-gang office. So it's like coming back home. What a great community in the Gulfton area. I know it gets a lot of negative press sometimes, but this is great. These are great people in a great neighborhood. So anytime we can come together to fight crime and bring people together, I'm excited about it. And this is what it's about today.
What does it mean, the physical presence out here? I was talking to Tammy about that too.
Look,
fighting crime takes the community coming together and a
right.
crowd like this to show that they support that cause.
You got it. It's not the police alone, especially when you're looking at homicide. It's everybody working together to prevent it and drive those numbers down. So hope the COVID numbers stay away. And it's so good because you can't do this on Zoom. You can't. It has to be face-to-face, touching people, touching hearts and minds. And I'm excited. You see the young people, middle-aged, older people. I saw my former principal to my kids' elementary school, Miss Hartwell. I just saw her and I hadn't seen her in years, so it's great. So thank y'all. Thank you for being here.
Say it's an honor to be with all of you. I certainly want to start off by acknowledging your Councilmember Pollock, who is just doing an exemplary job in representing District J. Give it up to your Councilmember Pollock. Also want to acknowledge all of these individuals, these elected officials who are standing behind me. Well, let me acknowledge these community leaders, from Tammy to Veronica to all of you, all the communities, the neighborhoods that have come together, because it takes all of that. So I especially want to acknowledge the people who live in this area, who live in District J, who live in the Gulfton area, for standing up and joining with law enforcement. So a special acknowledgement and shout out to all of the people who actually live in this community. To the elected officials who are standing behind me, and as Councilman Pollock said, you do see a strong coalition of partners. From Congresswoman Fletcher, representing on the federal level, who is here in person this morning. That speaks volumes. To State Representative Gene Wu, who represents this area, who's always here. Certainly want to acknowledge him and what he's doing in the legislature. And then as we go down to Commissioner Jack Cagle, who I was just with on yesterday, certainly appreciate him. To the Harris County DA, who is carrying that fight on that front, DA Kim Ogg, who is with us here. And then cannot exclude or overlook Chief Troy Fenner of the Houston Police Department. Chief Troy Fenner and all of these police officers and law enforcement personnel. Roughly 5,200 police officers, and they are trying to cover 640 square miles. So I certainly want to thank them for being on the front line and for doing their part. Please give it up to our law enforcement and to Judge Israel Garcia. Where's Judge? Right there. Please give it up to Judge Garcia. The point that I want to make, and I'm going to move on, and that is, it takes all of us working together to be on the same page, law enforcement and community on the same team. We just have one common enemy, and those are people who seek to break into people's homes, to assault people, burglarize their property, commit homicides. Those are the people that we are standing against. And when the community and law enforcement are on the same page, you will see the numbers come down, and they will come down when all of us, all of the partners, federal, state, local, and county, are working together. And then I do want to acknowledge, because there are other partners, like Chief Sam Pena with the fire department, who is with us. So we're all coming together. Lastly, what I would say, I do want to acknowledge and thank this community, the management district, the TERS, again, Councilmember Pollard and his staff, for working to put in the license plate readers. I certainly want to acknowledge you taking the initiative under the One Safe Houston plan. We're adding more police to the force, actual police, and then we are also boosting that number by providing 125 more police officers per day on the overtime program. We're utilizing more technology like the license plate readers, so we're doing a lot more of that, and we're working with our community partners. The total cost of the plan that we have put out to fight crime is $45 million. Those are real dollars. And that's why I want you to give a strong shout out to Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, because those dollars are coming from the American Rescue Plan. So those are $45 million to boost up law enforcement, to boost up overtime, to get a lot of these guns off the street, because there are absolutely too many guns on the street. But the bottom line is, when we, law enforcement and community, work together, our city is safer for our children, for those who play in parks like this, and we will get the job done. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you. Councilman Powell.
Houston Police, our constables, our Metro PD, and our prosecutors who take the criminals to court. I want to thank all the members of law enforcement, especially the prosecutors who serve after the police catch them. We're the ones charged with prosecuting them. So we want to thank the community, because without you, you're our witnesses, you're the voice of the victims. And I especially want to thank the crime victims who are here today, who, as Andy Kahn of Crime Stoppers will tell you, are people who never wanted to be included in a group called Parents of Murdered Children, or in a group called the District Attorney's Crime Victims Advisory Panel. We put together a group of crime victims because we need to hear their voices, and we want other elected officials to hear them too. And it will come as no surprise to you all that Tammy Rodriguez, the organizer of this March on Crime, is one of our members. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Barbara Virapin, Calandrian Kemp, Scott Ehrenstein, Katie Lowe, Paul Castro, Dr. Alma Allen, Teresa Seck, Tiana Banks, Marintha Sargent, and Larissa Sang. These are real victims who advise us. We are here to hear their voices. We're here to prosecute criminals with evidence that police gather, and it takes all of us working together. So help us by supporting law enforcement, prosecutors, and mostly crime victims. I want to say something about Troy Finner and his other chief, Larry Satterwhite, and some other folks here. Back in the early 1990s, Gulfton was the epicenter of Houston's crime, especially gang crime, and especially murder. We worked together to bring community programs to Burnett Balin Park. We worked with the justices of the peace out here before it was Judge Garcia, when it was other judges, to help in the people's court come up with reasonable punishments like community service to help clean up this area. And we worked with law enforcement to eradicate gangs. And while we didn't get rid of all of them, we got rid of a lot of them. But here's who made the difference. Crime victims started a movement. They started a movement to empower the families who had been wronged in crime. And it was the citizens, it was the crime victims who moved in the legislature and city council, at commissioner's court, to change things. And Gulfton became a safe neighborhood. And while we've got a ways to go and we've seen some issues, let me tell you, Gulfton is better today than it was in the 90s, and it can be better tomorrow than it is today. So thank you, crime victims. Thank you, law enforcement.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Come on, baby, get dance! Clear back, please. Now move to the right, that's fans from the left.
More like awareness.
We will! We will! We will! We will! We will! Jump in, jump in! Jump in and walk! Jump in!
I do. Oh, please, Mama.
But a lot of times, I got y'all stay over there. Want to jump? Go ahead. Together! We will! 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 Together! All right, we're back. We're back. You're back. I just don't know. They know to do it. We will. But
Let's go.